Welcome to the Joy of Coding. Hello, and welcome to episode 364 of The Joy of Coding. My name is Mike Conley. It's so good to have you here. What is up? Going to be live hacking on some Firefox stuff today. Special shout out to I'm in the Toronto office today. Special shout out to the interns. We had a bunch of interns start up today. I was just having lunch with them. Great group of people. Looking forward to working with them. And this is a quick shout out. If any of them ends up watching this stream, it could happen. Hello and welcome to Mozilla. Hey, all right, yeah, it's episode 364 of The Joy of Coding. Going to be live hacking on Firefox. Let's get started. Without further ado, let me share my screen. Yeah, it's May 1st, 2024, episode 364. A reminder, no plan survives breakfast. And, no time was that demonstrated like last week. Well, I've done that sort of thing before. But like last week was pretty bad in that just before the stream started, or just as I was starting the stream, I noticed that my network was starting to fall apart at home. And so I'm in the office today. I fixed my home network, but like I couldn't stream last week. So I apologize if you were like watching that stream and then watching like dropped frames show up. That was my bad. And thank you for waiting a week. So yeah, no plan survives breakfast. I hope the network stays up. I appear to not be dropping frames right now. So, we'll knock on wood. Is this real wood? I have no idea, but let's hope it sticks. Everything stays together. I want to point out that the episode guide is available to you. Wait, did I want to start there? No, I want to start with the agenda. This thing that we're looking at. This is a handy-dandy document that's got links and, it's going to kind of cover the stuff I'm hoping to do today. If you've never seen the stream before, the agenda is pretty important, and it's something that you have access to. You can click on a link. Depending on where you are, the link's going to be in different places, but you can get a copy of this agenda that will be kept up to date as I edit it. And so if you're watching this on diode.zone or YouTube, check out the video description for a link to the agenda. If you're watching this on Air Mozilla, it's over in the details section. And if you're watching this on Twitch, it's down in the channel details. It should be. And yeah, as I update the text in here, you'll see this like little spinny spin. And then if you reload the page, you should see the changes reflected in your local copy of the agenda in case you want to follow along. The episode guide. Let's briefly mention the episode guide. There's an episode guide. It's completely viewer-driven. Viewers just like you contribute to the episode guide, and this is a nice way of knowing like what got covered during a particular episode. We've got it all the way up to March 20th. I think there are a couple of episodes that we still haven't filled in yet, but in this you kind of get a sense. It's essentially a copy of the agenda, but this is a nice way of kind of seeing what happened in a particular episode. Like if we want to know what happened in episode 175, we'll know that I was working on picture-in-picture stuff, and so that might be interesting. And then you can like watch the episode on Air Mozilla. So anyways, the episode guide, it's a place for you to add your own notes, addenda, corrections, etc. if you want to help other people out who are watching the stream. And if you're not sure how to contribute to the episode guide, there are these links in the agenda that will hopefully make that clearer. Okay, so I apologize for last week. I wanted to briefly mention something that I thought was kind of neat inside of Nightly. If you happen to be using a copy of Nightly, I want to show off something. So let me open up the episode guide in a bunch of different tabs. Have you been in a situation like this? Are you like me, where sometimes you've got many tabs open and some of them are to the same page and you want to reclaim some memory? Good news, everyone. In Nightly, starting in, I think it was like last week, maybe early last week, if you are running Nightly 127, and I believe this is going to go out in 127 to release, which, what train is it now? 127 will go out to release on June 4th. So on June 4th, in just over a month, there is a feature where if you right-click on a tab, there's an item that says Close Duplicate Tabs. So that will just close any other tab that has the same URL, which is very handy if you want to like reclaim some memory, get rid of some tabs you might not need, some redundant tabs. A question in the chat, does it double the other way around? It looks like it, although maybe you were just messing around, Leftmost Cat. It's hard to tell. Your second message was only sent in single, and it says, to the best of your knowledge, is the Toronto office in the same place it was in 2016? Yes, it has not moved. The Toronto office is in the same place. All right, so what do we want to do today? I shouted out closing duplicate tabs. Oh, what I wanted to do was at the end of last stream, episode 363, we were working through analyzing an issue that Crushed Optimist brought to our attention about the jump list mechanism. And, leftmost cat says I was not messing around. Weird. So, yeah, some of your messages are duplicated, some are not. Hard to know. Hard to know whether or not it's a problem with the repeater, a problem with Twitch, a problem with, my setup, Matrix, who knows? But I apologize in advance if people are in the chat and they're seeing repeated messages go around. Okay, so yeah, at the end of last episode, we had figured out that part of the issue that Crushed Optimist was dealing with was the fact that we are truncating. It's this bug, basically. We're truncating long URLs when figuring out what to remove. And if you're curious about what that means or want more of a detailed description of the issue, here it is. And I'm actually going to put a link to that in the agenda if you want to follow along. And I think, so I added this, I think it might be slightly worse than I originally thought. So I suspect that this has always been an issue. Like I think I mentioned this in here, that this should always have been an issue. It's not like we added this max path truncation thing in our new backend and introduced a bug. This has always been a bug, at least as far as I can tell, for as long as we've ever supported the Windows jump list, which is around Windows 7 release time. This has always been a bug. But how we react to that bug, how the front end deals with that bug, has changed with our new backend. In particular, the way that the old backend worked, it essentially exposed like a lot of the underlying Win32 API infrastructure for manipulating the jump list backend. And one of the things that the old backend did was it would like add things in parts. Whereas our new backend simplifies things where you just like do it all at once. You just like, here's a description of what I want in the jump list, just make it happen. And it does it all at once. And the drawback of that second of our new backend is that if anything goes wrong during that construction, then the whole thing bails out. The whole thing gets aborted. Whereas before, because it was doing it in parts, if any of those individual steps failed out, the prior steps would still kind of like, they will still have like persisted, if that makes any sense. And so I think we didn't introduce this bug, but the way we react to this bug is worse. And so there are people, I think I've been CC'd on a couple of bugs. Let me see if I can pull one up actually. I've been CC'd on a couple of bugs where people are describing that their jump list just doesn't have anything in it. And I think that's this bug. Let me see if I can pull up one such bug. The tasks option is missing from Ed Lee 23 days ago. If they switch to the new backend and they delete a bunch of stuff and then custom actual results, tasks options will not be created, at least for non-private browsing window icon, and the corresponding file under here will not be recreated. Browsing while playing with the value. I suspect that maybe this is related. That, the jump list has remembered a removal for a long URL, and that removal is failing. That removal is never occurring. Like, we're attempting to remove, per the Win32 API specification, we're attempting to remove that history entry that the user has removed from their jump list, but we're truncating the URI, and so the removal doesn't go through. I think that's what's happening. That's my suspicion. And we can verify that if we fix this bug and then get it landed in Nightly, and then this person could like test it. So let's try that. Let's see if we can fix this bug. That's my hope. Now I was doing a build, and it looks like my builds are my builds done? Oh no. Oh no, I built ESR 115. That's not what I wanted to build. Oh no. I wanted to build Good. I'm in the right place. I've got the right stuff. Build with default. And I've got, I'm not going to do a debug build. I'm just going to make sure that that build's up to date. It should be. And let's take a look at the description of how we're actually supposed to get the URL out from the, my failure is 4 frequent URLs are shown instead of 7. They do not update. Right. I think it's somewhat related. Like in the event that the populate jump list thing is aborted, nothing about the jump list will change. So in the event that nothing had been in the jump list before, and then something is in the jump list, is put in the jump list with populate, but that like populate job fails, then the list will be empty. If something pre-existed inside of that jump list, and then we attempt to populate the jump list with new items, and it fails, then, you know, the jump list won't update. That's what I think is going on here, Crushed Optimist. I think. I mean, we could be wrong here. I'm inferring from what you've told me and described in email, and I think this is related. So it might not be the only bug, but it's at least one that we can reproduce easily. We were able to reproduce it during the last episode, and we can try and fix it and see if this fixes your issue. But maybe it won't. Maybe it won't, and we'll have to dig deeper. But let's at least examine this known issue. Okay, check for removals. The way that works... Yeah. I'm looking at the ESR code, and I shouldn't be. Let's look at this stuff. Yeah. Jump list builder, get arguments. So this, I think we're going to want to update it using what is described in the documentation here. Retrieve the argument strings through iPropertyStore using PK link arguments rather than this method, which unfortunately can silently truncate the string if the buffer is not large enough. Okay. Whereas iPropertyStore will allocate a string of the correct size. So that's what I want to do. And what I want to do is see if I can find an example of using PK link arguments in the tree that we can kind of draft off of. And here's one where we like get a property store, and then we can get a value read into a prop var, and then it looks like we like copy the string or something. Prop var. I wonder if there are value PK link arguments. That's just the one example of doing it. There might be other examples of doing this sort of thing. String. Let's just allocate string. We'll see. We might end up having to here we go. Prop val. Prop var init. We get the value. And if it's not a string, we bail out. Otherwise, we assign it to an NSA string. This is the example we're going to base this off of. So let's try that. Our build is done. So the place we're going to manipulate this, we're going to mess around inside of jumplistbuilder.cpp. Let's open that up. And max path. It was here. So this is where we're going to do something new. And we're going to... What we were doing before was we were... Right. Command line to RW. When we get the arguments, get an arg list out. Okay, so there's like breaking up the arguments, and then we just get the first one. That's fine. The fact of the matter is we need to not have the argument list be truncated, and that's what we're talking about here. So we're gonna do something like this. And I'm pretty sure prop variant init is something that we get from Win32. I don't know if the right stuff is exposed in here. Prop variant. Yes, we do have prop variant in here. To set values. So we're going to go like this, prop variant. We're going to init the prop variant. And then we are going to make sure that we clean it up in the event that something goes wrong. That's a good idea. Clean up prop variant, scope exit, prop variant clear. Makes sense. So in the event that we bail out from within here, we'll always make sure that we clean up so we don't leak memory. And then we are going to try and get the value out into the prop variant. Pardon my phone. So we're cargo culting a little bit here, but I understand what's happening. Now this thing this thing is like a void pointer, so we can't return an NS error code. But what we can do in this case is continue in the event that the shell link is giving us like busted information. That way we can at least do some of the jump list maybe. But we want key link arguments. And then maybe we should warn. Yeah, if NS warn if. Yeah. Prop store, and then where's prop store? Prop store is get property store for window. That's not exactly what I want. Get prop store from parsing name. I want to get a prop store from the shell link. That's what I want. I want to QI it to prop store. Okay. So we already got the shell link, and we're going to query interface it and get a prop store out. And then we'll get the arguments out. Okay, at that point, we should bail out if the property doesn't happen to be a string. That would be very unexpected. I think we would say like NS warning. NS warning. Unexpected type returned for PK link arguments. And then we'll continue. And then we need to get, this is how we get the string out. We assign it based on a casting. Okay. So we don't do this. We need to get the value of command line to arg vw. What did we do before? Buff was a wide character T. Command line string. What is that? W. That's a wide string as well. Standard wide string. Wide char T. Current command line. LP stir. So LP stir arg list. LP W stir. Just looking for a couple of examples of what I want here. I think this is what we were looking at before. You get an NSA string, you assign it. But ultimately what I want to pass to command line to argw is something else. Handle. Stir path W. So maybe that's what I want. Sure, 16 pointer T. Standard W string args equals, or maybe like this. Can I do that? And then can I pass args to this? I have a feeling that's not gonna make it happy. Command line to argw. What's the Microsoft. First argument should be an LPCW stir. Args LPCW stir. And then I wonder if I need to assign it. Assign it to an LPCW stir. LPCW stir. So here's what I'm thinking. This is a pointer. This is, what is the definition of LPCW stir? Oh, so it is going to return a pointer. A pointer to a null terminated Unicode string that contains the full command line. Okay. So maybe that is going to work. Let's just see if it complains. All right, widget, let's go. No, not a fan. Not a fan. And what's the problem? Oh, I didn't declare HR. Right. So that is, an HR is an H result. And are there any other warnings? Cannot assign to HR. Use of undeclared identifier HRES. Did I accidentally get rid of HRES? H result. Yeah, okay, that's what I got rid of. So we were reusing it before. I'm going to just use HR. Actually, instead of changing those things, let's use get prop store. We need to if NSWarn if failed HRES. As warning, could property store my shell link could not get PK link arguments from iProperty store. Whoops. Okay, let's try that. Now it's upset about something down here. I think I might have forgotten to close a brace somewhere. Yeah, there. So bail out, bail out, bail out. Try again. Windows API drives me crazy with its typedefs. Got a pointer to a foo. Typedef. Now it's LP foo. Yeah. Windows. Like, I sympathize Win32 people. Like, the people who maintain these APIs have to deal with, like... So if there's... I have many criticisms of Microsoft, but one thing they're very good at, and I don't think anyone can really argue the opposite of this, is they maintain backwards compatibility for applications written for their operating systems longer than anyone I can think of. Like, you can still run, I think, some Win 3.1 applications, I believe. There are like compatibility layers. It is possible to run like a Windows 95 program on Windows 11, which is crazy to me. Now, it doesn't work the other way. You can't run a Windows 11 program on Windows 95, but you can... Oftentimes, I find that you can run older Windows programs on modern Windows. That's a outstanding achievement, but it doesn't mean that they have to maintain a lot of like compatibility. Could not get a iShell link from a from the iObject array. And then this should be a continue. Build. Oh, an unknown name buff. Doesn't know what buff is. Was I using buff still? Buff. So here we were using a different buffer to get the icon location. Now, should I be doing something similar over here where we want get icon location? No, I think what we'll do is we'll just move the buffer. Let's move the buffer here. Okay. Yeah, the documentation from Microsoft says that, like, I think it's much more likely for a URL, especially with like a bunch of parameters or you know, a bunch of, you can have outrageously long URLs. Max path is probably fine for the icon URL or icon path on the file system. You know, there's a reason why it's called max path. So I think we're okay there. Leftmost Cat writes, I'd agree with that, and I think that Wine is a truly impressive project in that regard as well. 100%. I mean, considering, like, Wine is a clean room, as far as I understand, a clean room reverse engineering of a bunch of Win32 APIs that are, like, not open source. So they're yeah, based on the documentation that exists on the web, and, like, maybe some books that have been published about Windows internals, the Wine team has been re-implementing an open source, like, it's not an emulation layer. It's like a re-implementation of a bunch of Win32 APIs so that you can run, you know, your Windows program from Windows 95 or Windows 98 or XP on Linux or on Mac OS or something. It's outstanding. What an achievement. Okay, so now that I have this built, it's happy with it. Let us see if we can reproduce the issue that we were playing with last week. So no tasks there. We haven't updated. Let's import. I feel like I have to do this every time. What's the incantation? I think I had it put in here. Yeah, here we go. So we're going to do this. Win taskbar jump list update. So we have an item in here. Now what we're going to do is we're going to visit a very long URL. mikeconley.ca/blog/ and then let's put in like a really long URL. A, B, C, D, E. Okay. So we visit there, and now let's run update again. We should see it show up in here. And if I remove this, and I run update, let's open up the history. So we see my item there. I've removed it. Now let's run update. It removed it. It matched on the URL, which means now we should have that one item in there, and the, you know, if I go to YouTube or something and then run update again, hey, YouTube gets added. So, gang, it's working. It's working. We got ourselves a working patch here. And then if I like revisit this page, what happens? So now, like, if I reload, run update, yeah, it gets added again. Amazing. Well, I think we fixed it. Now, is there a nice way of testing this? We had written some G tests. Let's look for them. Jump list test. Jump list builder test. Jump list builder. Right. And I think we had a similar test that a Windows jump list shortcut description with a description longer than max path gets truncated to max path. This is because a description longer than max path will cause commit list to fail. What we want to do is ensure that a URL that is longer than max path gets returned properly. So how are we going to do that? We will construct a backend. We'll construct a jump list shortcut description that has a really, really, really long URL for the custom list. And then, oh, see, this is no good because what we're dealing with is an API. Like, what we're testing is that we're behaving. What are we testing against? We need to ensure that check for removals. Check for removals. Receiving check for removals should call the following methods: port list. First link ref. We set arguments on it. What we want to ensure, we basically want to do this, but with a really, 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 really long string. And then on the other side of things, we want to check that the URL comes back not truncated. Okay, so I actually think we want to copy some of this test. So I'm gonna copy it and I'm gonna get rid of a bunch of stuff. So we're gonna say tests calling check for removals and receiving a jump list entry with a very long URL doesn't truncate the URL, doesn't result in jump list builder truncating the URL before handing it back to the caller. And then, there's a bunch of checks in here, but I don't think we really need those checks. So check for removals, long URL. And then there's like all these expects. I don't know if we need to do all these expects. Oh, it's a strict mock, so we do have to do all the expects. Expects the following calls in order. Okay, expect task backend abort list to be called twice. Let's prepare begin list return a one entry. Let's say a one entry collection of iShell links. The first iShell link will be the iShell link will have the URL be very long, over max path characters. Okay, so we'll create a list. We'll create one of these things, and then let's create a really long URL. What was how do we, long description, set length, max path -1. How did we do it before where we created a really long description? I mean, we just like statically do it. Example, very long URL .com/, first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th, 15th, path item, some more junk after that. Let's see how long this is. $182. We need to go longer. What is, like, how long is max path? 260 characters. We need more. $316. Okay, so that's plenty. Let's assert. Oh, I can't assert, unfortunately. Except that I can do this maybe out here. I'm going to say long, very long ref. Assert true. Very long ref dot length greater than max path. Okay. Set arguments, app path, get collection object. We just do the one. Okay. And then we don't have to worry about this stuff. Whoa, where'd we just go? Okay. Go over here. Don't have to worry about adding another object. Query the collection to an array. We add a reference. And then I guess that's enough. Okay, then we do all of this business. Check for removals, wait for resolver. Assert true, assert true. The URL should match very long ref. Return URL value. Return URL value JS string is that. Auto string init first URL auto string equals first very long ref. Should expect to see one URL string returned in the array. What? One URL string returned in the array. Okay, let's see. Oh, an abort list should probably only be called once. Should it? No, it might be called twice. Okay, let's try and run that test. See if I can remember how to do that. So we'll shut down. If I use .test instead of .com, since ICANN explicitly doesn't accept registration of .test as a TLD. Yeah, sorry. That was me saying more, because I was adding a bunch of strings on the end. Sure, .test. There you go. I like it. All right, let's see if we can mock gtest jump list builder.star. I think that's how the format is, if I remember correctly. So it actually has to build the gtests, and then we'll run it. Live code review, 100%. That's what secret sauce, gang. If you live hack in front of people, they'll tell you when you make mistakes sometimes, and then you can get live code review. It's great. Highly recommended. That's not I appreciate it. I appreciate the people who shout out and let me know whenever I get something maybe a little wrong or make, I could improve things. That's great. Okay, while we're waiting for this to build, what else did I want to talk about? Oh yeah, so there's another patch on the stack that we're relying on. I think we can rebase what we just wrote onto Central and maybe land that separately. What we want to do after we get this patch written and posted for review is break up our favicon one into a bunch of individual patches that we can get reviewed. Seriously, you're having to rebuild? Oh, it's building all of the G-tests. So thankfully there aren't too many G-tests, at least as far as I know. So this shouldn't take too long, maybe a few more minutes. While we're waiting on that, maybe there's something we can review. Let me just check Fabricator. Oh, also in news, I'm not sure if people heard, maybe I mentioned it last week, but a special shout out to, I don't remember who it was, but someone on the Thunderbird team reviewed my patch to switch over to using the new jump list backend and Thunderbird on Comm Central. So the next ESR should be using the new backend. Hooray! And in the event that, Thunderbird, you want to add some custom entries into the jump list, now you can do that. So that's fun. Well, I guess you could have always done that, but now it's easier. What can I review while we're waiting on stuff? There's not really anything to review. Let me just check. Let's check the audience. Any questions from out in the audience? While we're waiting on this, I guess I could add some documentation to a thing I'm working on. I'm working on this profile backup mechanism with a team of people, and I'm filling out some documentation. So I guess we can do that while I wait for this build to finish. So JS window actor, what is the name of the message? Receive message. What is the thing? That's the name. A receive message argument. Receive message argument. Receive message argument. Right. Okay. Sends the state update message to the backup UI child. Along with the most recent state object from backup service. Doesn't return anything. Okay, so that's done. I wanted to do that. I wanted to add some documentation to this one. Some of this is fairly hey, this is a constructor. Hey, this is a did destroy method. So there's nothing too surprising in here, but it's nice to be thorough. Oh, what are you complaining about? Missing JS doc for message. Oh, the message received from the backup UI child. Fine. So there's another handle event here. Handles events fired by widgets that want to register with backup UI child. The event that the handles, I should be more specific, backup UI init widget custom events fired by widgets that want to register with backup UI child, and then the backup UI init widget custom event that the widget fired. Firing this event sends a message to the parent to request the state, the backup service state, which will result in the state property of the widget to be set when that state is received. Subsequent state updates will also cause the state property to be set. Okay, and then this one, receive message. Sent by backup UI parent. There's not much more there. Backup UI parent. This is more for completion's sake. What are you worried about? Oh, I apparently had added a breakpoint. I did not mean to do that. The other thing I want to do is I want to get these into the documentation. So there's a way I can do that. Backup resources. I'm going to add backup UI actors. So new file, backup UI actors.rst. Backup UI actors reference. The backup UI actors parent and backup UI child actors allow widgets, allow UI widgets, register widgets to access the state, the current state of the backup service, and to subscribe to state updates. Okay. And then we're going to add some auto classes. Backup UI parent. Backup UI child. And there's like an auto attribute on the child for initted widgets. Initted widgets. I think I can do that. Instance. What else do I want to do? Eventually we'll want like a diagram here, but for now this is probably fine. Okay, well, this is unfortunate. Oh, there we go. Build mock gtest jumpless builder.star. Let's go. Oh, it tried. Very long href. Cannot be implicitly captured as a lambda with no capture default specified. Okay, so I didn't pass it in the lambda. So very long href. I think I have to do that. Meanwhile, we have to hg-add backup docs, backup UI actors. And that's in there. Parent. child. Maybe UI widgets that want to subscribe to state updates must ensure that they are running on a page that in a process and on a page that the backup UI parent, backup UI child, actor pair are registered for, and then fire a backup UI init widget event. It is expected that these UI widgets will respond to having their .state property set. Okay, now let's build the docs. Mock doc, browser colons, backup. How are we doing over here? Run. Okay, and then, but error. Failed to record dirty bit. Glean. I think this is unrelated. So our test worked. Populate, check for removals, long URL. It ran and it went well. Fantastic. This test ensures that for URLs longer than max path, that URLs longer than max path do not get truncated by jump list builder or one of its utilities. So we must ensure that the static URL we just defined is actually longer than max path. Okay. All right, I'm happy with that. Let's get this posted for review. Bug. Avoid truncating long URLs when computing which items to remove from history via the jump list backend. Builder via the Windows jump list. RKRacing. Is that their name? Let me just double check. Raymond. I think I did not spell it right. And then we're going to rebase that on Central, post it up for review. Let's just double check what we have here. Okay. So rebase on Central. Meanwhile, did our docs get built? No. What's wrong? It's complaining about something. What are you complaining about? Extension stuff. Your code contains multiple documented objects at each of these paths. Backup service state. We don't know which one you're talking about. Oh. Backup service.sys.backup service state. Really? Backup parent. multiple documented objects at each of these paths. Oh, you know what it is? I think it's the fact that I've got something called state and also state. All right. I'm going to say underscore state. Ideally, this would be named state instead of state, but Sphinx.js seems to be fairly unhappy with that coupled with the state getter. Okay, let's try that. And we've got our rebase here. Let's post for review. This is still, no documentation was found for object backup UI parent or any path ending with that. Really? For object backup UI parent. Backup UI parent. Do I need to yeah, I have to add to this JS source path. Docs.conf backup. I need to add content. Or actors, rather. Ooh, and that reminds me, I'm also going to want to add content. Yeah. Content. All right, that worked. Module index, or sorry, index, backup, UI parent, child. Good, good, good. Backup UI child didn't get any of its methods printed out. Let's find out why. Backup UI child, UI child. Backup UI child. Content backup preferences. All right, well, let's get back to that in a second. The widget for managing the backup service that is embedded within the main page, within the main document of about preferences. Creates a backup preferences instance and sets the initial default state, default kernel state. I guess not default state. Dispatches the backup UI init widget DOM custom event upon being attached to the DOM, which registers with backup UI child for backup service state updates. And I don't think we need a document. I don't think we need doc string for render. So what I'll do is add another one, so backup widgets, backup UI widgets. UI widgets reference this auto class. What was the name of this widget? Backup preferences. Okay. These widgets are exposed in the UI to let users configure the backup service. Configure the backup service. UI widgets. Hang on. And now, before I forget, htadd browser components backup docs. What ones have I not added yet? I think it's just widgets. I added the other one. htadd browser components backup docs backup UI widgets. Oh no. Oh yeah, good. I'm in the right place. Whew. I thought I was on this one. I'm on basic infrastructure. That's what I wanted. Okay, so this got posted for review, the jump list thing. So I think we can go to the other thing I wanted to do, which was to try and break up our other patch here into some logical chunks and get them up for review. This is posted for review. Hopefully when this goes out to release, to nightly, or worst case, release, people will tell us whether or not this fixes their jump list bug. Jump list bugs. Okay, so breaking up that patch. I think I had a plan for breaking it up. I think I had it break it up like this, yeah. So let's put this over in, well, let's leave it here. The XBCOM interface change and native code changes. And what do I have already? An async version of obtain cached icon file. Then the jump list changes and then tests. Okay, so I think we've got the tests factored out already. What we need to do is factor out the jump list changes from this, and we should be good. So how do we do that? Here's how I'm going to suggest we do this. So if we look at this commit, it appears the agenda formatting isn't completely correct. The HTML page isn't displaying the list correctly. Really? Oh, you know what? I always find that if I don't put a new line there, the markdown library that I use to generate the document, the agenda, chokes on it a bit. Yeah, that's better. That's probably better. Try reloading now. Try reloading now. Okay. I saw another question down there, which was, how common is it that you open a file in Firefox and it's just flooded with lints? How common is it this happens and you lose your mind and just submit a giant patch of lint fixes? So the good news is that for a lot of things that are like lint errors, at least in my experience, a lot of those can be fixed with automation, like mock lint outgoing. Actually, I should have done this before I submitted this patch. Let's do it. Let's actually go back to tip for a second here, and because you're right, leftmost cat, that sometimes lint issues can sneak out. So here's what I do: mock lint outgoing fix, and anything that so the linting tool is going to take a look at the outgoing patch, see if there's anything that is wrong with it lint-wise, that anything that would cause ReviewBot to complain, and then it will attempt to fix them itself. And for the ones that it can't, then I will fix them locally, and once that's all clean, then chances are ReviewBot will be happy with it when I post for review. So it's a good idea to do this sort of thing before you commit, and I actually normally get that sort of thing for free because I have like a commit hook for JavaScript changes in my local like on my Mac OS machine. So no problems. It didn't complain. So I don't need to worry about ReviewBot getting too upset, at least for linting issues. There might be some static analysis issues that it brings up, but that, that might take a while for those to show up. All right, so let's go back to what we were doing. Where am I? I want to go back to, this one. So I want to check this one out and then take a look at the patch and figure out if I can just factor out the Windows jump list changes. I suspect I can if we take a look at the patch itself. So like here's a chunk of the Windows jump list stuff, and that's it. Like Windows jump list is mostly untouched. The bulk of the change is actually within like our native code. So I'm going to go ahead and uncommit this change. And what that's going to do is it's going to remove that change from the commit, but it's going to keep it in my working directory. So if I do hgdiff, I should see these changes for Windows jump list. Yeah, here they are. And then I can create a new commit with those. Now I've diverged a little bit because this change down here did have the Windows jump list change, and then I like the ESM change. I uncommitted it, so this is now an orphan change, the test patch that was on top of it. So I'm going to need to rebase eventually, and this is the version of this commit that doesn't have the Windows jump list ESM change. So now I'm going to create a new commit, bug 153.809, update Windows jump, what is it called? Windows jump lists .sys.mjs, Windows jump lists .sys.mjs to use the async favicon utility, caching utility. And then I'm going to also ask this review to come from RK Racing. Just need to make sure I spell their name right. One of these days I'm going to learn to spell it correctly, without having to look it up. It's 216. I think what is next to do is we need to rebase the tests on top of this, of what I just made. And then we should be in this state. XPCOM interface changes and native code changes, the jump list changes, and then the tests on top of it. And then I saw whenever I was looking at the patch before, the sort of the big one with all the C++ and XPCOM changes, there was a to-do in there, and we should fix that to-do. And we should look for other to-dos. And then we can post it for review. Okay, so let's update to here. Where was the to-do? I think it was down here and obtain cached icon file async. Okay, that was just that one part. Okay. And that is in what file? Sorry, favicon helper. I think it's in WinUtils. No, it's it's in WinUtils. Widget Windows WinUtils. Okay, to do. There it is. Okay, what does this do? Auto favicon helper. Returns. What does this thing do? Attempts to obtain a favicon from the favicon service, NSI favicon service. Favicon service by way of I guess it doesn't need to know how it's done. NSI favicon service, that's what it's called. Right. Attempts to obtain a favicon from the NSI favicon service and cache it on disk for use so that in a place where Win32 utilities like the jump list can access them. In the event that the favicon was cached recently, the existing cache path will be returned. If the cache is expired, it will be refreshed. The existing cache, the returned Moz promise will resolve with the cache path. It will be refreshed before returning the path. In the event that something goes wrong, that the favicon cannot be retrieved from the NSI favicon service, or something goes wrong writing the cache to disk, the returned Moz promise will reject with an NS result code. Okay, and then param. Do they do that in here? WinUtils param? A little bit. Here we go. Yeah, I can probably reuse some of these. And I think this one's also static, right? Static, yeah. This is similar to obtain cached icon file to the obtain cached icon file method, except that all I/O happens on the AIO thread rather than some of the I/O. Some of the I/O. The URI of the page to obtain the favicon for, and then the thread to perform the cache check and fetch write on. URL shortcut. No. This will be cachedir. Which cache directory to use for the returned favicon. C favicon helper icon cachedir, and then it returns a ref pointer resolves with the path of the cached favicon, or rejects with an NS result in the event that the favicon cannot be retrieved and or cached. Okay, and I think I'm actually going to reformat this. This is more readable. See. Okay. Any other to-dos in here? Not really. Okay, let us post this for review now. Let's update the commit message to get rid of the whip tag. And then that name again. There it is. Unlike the original favicon helper obtain cached icon file, this new method does all of its I/O on the I/O thread. This also makes it so that the NSI jump list builder exposes an entry point to this utility, right? Exposes access to this utility method over XPCOM. Okay, pretty good. Now evolve, and then let's post her for review. And that's it. Took a little while, but that's because I was only working on it during these streams. I think this would have been about a half day of work, maybe, if I was doing it outside of the stream. That's not to say that I don't appreciate working on it in front of you. I just want to make it clear, if you're wondering like why this is taking so long, like the other jump list stuff, it's because I'm only working on it during the stream. Because I want you to see continuity. Okay, let's post this for review. No whip. Let's go. And with that, presuming that goes up okay, I think we might call it there. Thanks so much for watching episode... What episode was this? Episode 364 of The Joy of Coding. I hope that was interesting. Let me know what you thought. There's a form. If you follow this link in the agenda, the Rate This Episode form, which I will put a link to in the chat as well. Here's the form to rate this episode. If you fill that out, that's a great place to give me feedback about what you liked about the stream, what you didn't like, what you'd like to see more of, what you'd like to see less of. And if you have any questions, feel free to send them that way, and I will try and answer them in a subsequent stream. I hope that was interesting. Thanks for watching. Again, a special shout out to the interns who just started in the Toronto office today. It's nice to meet you. If you happen to get this far into the stream, congratulations. Hopefully you have a good internship. And anyone who watched the stream, I hope you got something out of it. And I will see you next time with episode 365. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye. The joy of coding. See ya.